Good morning, YouTube. We got a little bit of a dreary winter day here. We need to go haul some gravel. This truck's been sitting a couple weeks, so we need to get her fired up and pull it up out of here and go run this load of gravel. I plugged it into the block heater last night. It's pretty cold out. This thing starts pretty good in the cold, but I figured a little heat wouldn't hurt. I know the batteries are pretty low, so we'll pull the 6.7 over and get her jumped off and start our morning off here. So we'll catch y'all once we get that going. Alright, we had to swap spit between the trucks there for a minute, but this guy finally cranked off after just 2 or 3 minutes. Not too bad. So I'll get everything put away. This truck will get aired up, get pulled out of here. Alright, that actually went really well. I was afraid the trailer was going to be sunk into the soft yard back there because of the rain we've got, but shoot, it hardly left any tracks in the yard, so I think we're doing pretty alright today. If we can keep that luck rolling with us, we'll be doing pretty good. So, let me get this trailer unhooked and get my Super Duty out of the yard, and we'll be having a real good day. So we'll catch up to you here in a bit. Well guys, I hate to disappoint on today, but we just got down here to the gravel yard, and as it turns out, they closed today for New Year's. Today's Saturday. I was slightly afraid they might be closed today since New Year's isn't till tomorrow, but I figured we'd run down and give it a shot anyways. But oh well, I guess we'll go back to the house and maybe find something else to get into. We'll catch you then. Here will be a quick little video of me going through the gears. Ready for the light to change. It's hard to get a good camera angle in this little tiny cab. There's fourth. There comes fifth. We'll split to the high side. There goes sixth. There's seventh. We're cruising through town, so we won't get fast enough to get up to 9th, but there's pretty much going through the gears in this 9-speed truck. Alright, we just made it back to the house. I figured I'd give you a little walk around, explain some of the things I got going on the truck here. I bought it used a little over a year and a half ago. Previous owner had these nice little flames on it. Overall, it's a nice, classy little truck. It's got aluminum wheels, aluminum tanks, nice quarter fenders, telescopic hoist. Here's a quick look around under the guts of the beast. Like I said, it's a 2001. It's an older truck. It needs a little bit of a makeup put on it. Could use some paint, but overall very good shape. No structural rust. Got a little bit of surface rust starting. This here is just paint that's peeling off. This isn't any sort of rot or anything, but I do need to get some paint on it. There's our air ride underneath. Nice big stout hoist on it. I do think once upon a time this truck was a longer wheelbase and may have had a sleeper on it. Maybe it was a expediting truck or something. But here's just a look at the guts of the beast here. That's not quite raised all the way fully up. It's got a little further in the third stage it can go, but that's where I shut it off at. I snagged the tarp arm there a little while back. I need to get it fixed. I've got some parts on order for it. Yeah, there you go. You can see there's the working of it. It was a concrete company that owned this before me, so the floor is a little dinged up in it. Maybe once I get a shop built, I'll put a new floor in this thing, but it works for now. It doesn't leak, so it is what it is. Like I said, it's got an air tailgate on it. So there's actually, out under there's the air cylinder that runs the gate. Here's where the exhaust just comes out under the truck there. Like I said, I'd like to get that out. Maybe get a stack up the side of the truck. The bed sits real close to the back of the truck, so I'm not quite sure on my routing yet, but we'll figure something out. But here's the uphill side of the truck. Like I said, I think it's a nice, clean little short International. No rust on it anywhere. You can see. Just a real nice, clean truck. Hard to find in this area. Everything gets eaten up by salt here, so I know I do not run this truck in the salt at all. If there's any salt on the ground, this thing stays parked at home. But let me know if you guys have any questions about this setup. I'd be happy to answer for you. We can go and pop the hood and take a look under there. One thing I will say with this style of truck, it's I don't know, borderline close to being a cab over, because the front of your engine's actually right about there, and all of your engine's dang near under the cab. So I don't know, I love how short and easy this truck turns, but if I were to go buy a newer truck, I would probably have a long hood truck where you can actually work on the engine if needed. So you can see how the actual engine starts there and runs under the cab. There's a big old doghouse to about there. Here you can see how far back in the cab the engine actually sits, but that doghouse comes out. It's just not the easiest thing if you ever had to get in there and work on a starter and whatnot. But there's your power steering reservoir, coolant reservoir, your intercooler piping, big old radiator. Here's the AC compressor on this truck. Then the air compressor is actually gear driven off of your timing gears. It's down there. Then we can go over to the other side. So over here on this side, you've got your alternator, your air cleaner, washer fluid. Then that's where you check your engine oil. It's hard to see, but there's your intake going into your turbocharger. Again, your turbo sits like right under the cab right there. In the summertime, when you're hard on your exhaust brake, it puts a lot of heat into the cab right there. There's your hot side intercooler pipe, cold side's on the other side. But very clean, very good running truck. It has no blow-by for the mileage. It just starts and runs phenomenal. I'll show you here. It has a little bit of smoke that puffs out of it, but absolutely no pressure or anything. For 513,000 miles, I'll call it pretty good. I'm sorry, I was wrong earlier. This is actually just your oil fill. That's your oil dipstick. I don't know, for a 22-year-old truck, very clean. No major oil leaks or anything. Just a good, happy little truck. Like I said, I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. Alright, so quick little look inside the cab. We've got pouring there. Then our switches on this side. We've got heated mirrors. Then our cruise control switches. This is off and on for the cruise control, then set and resume. You can actually hear the truck start to idle up whenever I hit the cruise control there. I can kick it off and it'll turn off. So it goes back down to normal idle. Then on our gauge pack, these Internationals are pretty bad for their gauges. This truck actually has all working gauges in it, which is pretty impressive. So we got oil pressure, water temp, tachometer, speedometer. Then we've got fuel, voltage, and then air pressure over here. It's got both tanks on separate needles, so you can actually see the two different systems there. The fuel tank, I've actually got a little more than between a quarter and a half a tank in it right now. But where this truck's got two tanks, it only has a sending unit in the passenger side tank, and the passenger side tank is sitting uphill right now, so it's actually showing lower than what it is because all the fuel ran over to the driver's side tank. The fuel pickup is actually in the driver's side, so it doesn't really matter. But whenever you're on a slight side hill, it shows that you have way less fuel than you do. Same thing if I were to pull in the driveway the other way, have the passenger side downhill, it'd probably be showing over half a tank of fuel right now. This truck does have 200-gallon tanks on it, so I have 200 gallons of capacity. So even at a quarter tank, I've got 50 gallons of fuel in this thing. Moving over, we've got radio. I have yet to figure out how to get it to work, so I don't know if we got a bad speaker or what. Then over here on this cluster, we've got our headlights, and then we can adjust our panel lights over here. And then we've got our HVAC controls, heat, fan, temperature, and whether it goes out the panel or out the vents. Then this little switch here is actually our AC. Moving over, we've got our truck brake air supply, tractor if you want to call it. Push that in to release the brakes, and the brakes are now released. Pull it out and the brakes are set. Then beside it we've got the air that goes out to our trailer connections. And then we have the our airbags. We have the run, which is the filled position, and the dump position, which actually dumps the bags and lowers the back of the truck and empties and sits on the bump stops. You want to do that whenever you're dumping your load or hooking up to a trailer or something to lower the back of the truck. Something weird about this truck, it only engages when the brakes are released. So I can release the brakes, and then the back of the truck will now start sitting down. But if I pull the brakes back out, it'll actually start filling the bags back up. But I'll go and flip that back to run for now. Trust me, if you forget to fill your bags back up and start heading down the road, it is one heck of a bumpy ride. Moving back to our shifter here, I'll show you the shift pattern. Like I said, it's a 9-speed. So you've got reverse up and to the left, then first down and to the left. And then from there you'll go second, third, fourth, fifth. And then on your shifter, you'll actually flip this knob up, and that puts you in high range, and you come back and go into 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Like I said, 9th at about 1600 RPM, you're cruising down the road at 75 miles an hour. 8th at 2000, you're doing about 60. 7th and 2000, you're doing about a good 45, maybe 50. 5th wound out, you're running 35 or so mile an hour. And then everything on the bottom side is pretty slow. You can actually go into first on the high side, but it is actually geared to where it falls kind of between this 4th and 5th gear. So first on the high side is actually a shorter gear than 5th on the low side. So you'll be doing slower in this gear in high than you would be doing in this gear in low. The only time I don't really think it's recommended to drive this around in first on the high side. I think there's some like oiling issues or something. I don't know, you could talk to someone that knows more about it than me. But it is kind of handy to run first in the high side sometimes whenever you're making a sharp turn coming from 6th on the high side or something, and you don't have enough time to make that range shift down to 5th, say you're making a hard right-hand turn and it starts going uphill, you can actually cheat and go to this gear and be able to pull through the heel until you can get some speed back up and get up into 6th again. Like I said, it takes a little bit of practice to get there, but it's not too hard to do once you figure it out. It's not really recommended for every scenario, but there's just every once in a while it comes in handy. Then down here you've just got your pedals. You got your clutch. The top half of it is your clutch. The bottom half, once you get all the way down to the floor, is actually your clutch brake. It'll stop the transmission from spinning and let you put it in gear whenever you're stopped. You don't want to push it all the way down like that when you're rolling, though. You can cause some damage to your clutch brake. Otherwise, you've got your air brake, your service brake pedal here. Then just your fun pedal over there. Something this truck's missing that I wish it did have, 2 things. I wish it had an air horn. Has no provisions for an air horn. I also wish it had the trolley valve for the trailer brakes whenever you're loaded heavy and want to use your trailer brakes independent for stopping and starting, that kind of thing. Otherwise, we've got these overhead compartments and then our CB radio here. Old school handheld. I don't think you're actually allowed to run this over the road anymore. Technically you're supposed to run a headset, but we still use this for pulling into quarries and stuff, talking to loader operators and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is the inside of my truck here. It's got manual crank windows, and then the little vent windows that open up, let some air in. There's a look at our mirrors. Both sides, it's getting a little foggy in here. But yeah, this is my truck. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you have any questions. So anyways, we're just cruising along here Saturday morning. Good to get the truck out and get a little heat through it anyways, so. There's another job I need to go quote. I'll probably go back to the house and get the pickup to go do it. Other than that, I'm sorry to have a boring video for you guys. I'm sorry if this phone mount's shaking too bad. I'll have to watch the video later and see. Our nice smooth West Virginia roads here. Maybe instead of going back through town, we'll go across the mountain on the way back to the house, get a little better video. Going through town's pretty boring. A little bit of stop and go traffic, just putting along at 35 or 40. We can go the back way around town and come back in on the mountain. Driving an empty truck in the rain can be a little scary sometimes. It's not too bad though. Maybe you got them lights to change real quick on you. Oh, that's a bear piece of shit. pretty good size engine in it. We got a M11 Cummins, rocking 350 horsepower. Then we've got a 9-speed Eaton behind it. This truck's air ride, air gate, has good working AC. Overall, very nice, clean, tight truck. We've got about 513,000 miles on it. It runs great, cold starts real good. I'm gonna have to eventually break down and put some batteries in it. If it sits for a week or two, it's too dead to, it doesn't have enough juice to get started. It'll crank over slow, but it won't start. But I don't know. Through the winter, at least, I've just been hooking it to my Super Duty for 2 or 3 minutes in the morning and popping it off, and it starts and runs just fine the rest of the day. This thing's got 3 batteries on it, so you're looking at over $300 at least in batteries, depending on what I go with. I mean, if I get nice batteries, you're probably talking $600 or $700. If I go with the Rural King specials, maybe $350 or so. Yeah, this truck's got gobs of power for as little as it is. I've got a 20-ton pedal hitch trailer. It goes just fine. I don't know. This truck just works. It works good. No complaints. It is a little unusual in my area to be running a single axle on air ride. I don't know, everybody said it'd be the worst thing ever in our country roads or twists, turns, and hills, but as long as you don't drive crazy, it drives fine. I haven't had really any issues with it. If you go too fast into a turn, it might make your butthole clench a little because it wants to lean a bit, but once you learn its capabilities, what to do with it, it does just fine. When you go to dump gravel out or whatever, you just dump the bags and it's rock solid, very stable. Everybody said they're very tippy when you go to dump, but as long as you dump the bags, it does phenomenal. It's rock solid. It rides extremely well, rides way better than any spring ride dump truck I've been in. Whenever you've got a tall load on the back, you go through some weird whoopsie-doos and stuff, it'll want to rock side to side a little. That's just something you got to be aware of. But other than that, I really can't complain. I don't know. Maybe its off-road performance is lacking a bit compared to a spring ride truck, but honestly, no single axle is good off-road, so I don't know that I'm really lacking that much. gear down the backside of this hill. If I were loaded, I'd be in either 6th if I was, I don't know, had 5 ton on or so. If I had a full 10 ton on, I'd be going down this in 5th or 4th maybe even. But I don't know. Empty, this thing drives dang near better than my pickup truck. This thing's actually very much so a joy to drive. So what else is there to know about this truck? Let's see. I don't know, it just works, honestly. No real complaints. In my time having it, the only major repair I've had to do, I had to put a new steering box on it. It was profusely leaking power steering fluid. I probably could have rebuilt it, put new seals in, but I figured at 513,000 miles, it wouldn't hurt just to go and put a new box in it. The steering was never sloppy before, but I think it's a little better now. This truck's always run down the road very good. The way this truck's geared, it'll actually run 75 mile an hour down the interstate at about 16 or 1700 RPM in 9th gear. So it's definitely real good at highway cruising. But it's got plenty of gears on the low side also. The gears on the high side do get a little far apart. You definitely have to rev it out in each gear to be able to catch the next gear and have power to pull through. I mean, right now we're creeping along at 1400 RPM in 7th gear, doing 35 down this road. Sure, the camera doesn't do these elevation changes any just, but this is definitely a steep and windy road that we're on. Otherwise, nothing too big bad to complain about. I would like to, in the near future, figure out some sort of stack or something to get the exhaust out from underneath the truck. One, I'm not crazy about all that heat going into the rear end off the exhaust. And also get the exhaust out from under the cab, get a little less noise in the cab. We'll see what we can figure out there. I do like the sound of this truck though. Hopefully it comes through on camera. You guys like it too. I hate that I do all my excavation work alone. I don't have anybody to camera to film a lot of the cool things I do, but I try to bring you guys the best content that I can with what I got. I don't know, I don't have much filming equipment at the moment yet. My GoPro's been on the fritz. Granted, it's 5 or 6 years old now, but it keeps having SD card issues. I don't know what to do about it. I'm filming on my phone right now, so hopefully it's turning out all right. Bought this house on the left, but things just didn't work out right. It is what it is. I ended up in my nice little log cabin that I'm at now, and I like it a lot. I like my little neighborhood, but soon, I don't know, next 5-year plan, I'd like to find some place with some property and be able to grow a bit more, have more room for trucks and equipment and whatnot. But it's a nice starter house for now. So, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys want to see on the channel? I hate right now we're kind of in our slow season right after Christmas. Actually, the whole month of December, really, it's always kind of slow. Everybody spends all their money on Christmas. They don't really have much extra side money to go around for you know, side projects, excavation, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know, later part of January, February, we'll start getting into tax return season. That's whenever people really get the itch to start doing projects. Also, that's late winter. People's driveways start getting in pretty bad shape from freeze thaw, snow plow, and all that sort of stuff. So we start picking up, getting real busy right before spring there, and then through the summer stay pretty busy. Again, this is just a side job for me, guys. I've got a real 9-to-5 job, or more like 7 to 7 some days, a lot of days, but this is just my side gig to break up the office work, you know. I like getting out here, working with machines and trucks, and getting dirty. And the biggest thing, I just love working for people, making them happy, getting the job done, doing projects that a lot of people stress over, have no clue how to go about, or just something they really want to get done, something that'll make their lives easier. And I like to provide that service for people, being able to get them on to their next step, you know. We're rolling back into town now. We'll be pulling up to the house here in just a minute. We'll go for the stoplight. I hope you guys enjoyed today's little ride along. I know it may not have been the most exciting, but at least you get to see what I'm into. Maybe I'll tag you guys along later when I go quote that job. I'm not really crazy about putting the camera right in customers' faces right off. I think that kind of leaves a bad impression whenever you're just doing the quoting. You know, I like to make sure they're comfortable with it. So I don't know, I might take a little video of what the actual project is later. I probably won't show you talking to the customer, but we'll catch up to you guys here in a bit. Maybe I'll film a little once we get back to the house.